Hey guys, Andy here, and today we're going to do my Profusion ranking video. I apologize for one, how late this upload is. Both Ian and I are sick, but I'm still going to try to finish out Vlogmas. I just don't know how much makeup I'm going to be wearing, but two, that's why this. But I will be leaving all my skincare in the description box down below because, you still gotta do your skincare even though you're sick. But I have 9 Profusion palettes, so we are going to be ranking those. And let's just go ahead and jump on into it. Alright, and spot number 9 is my oldest Profusion palette, and this is the Mini Rubies, which looks like this. And for me, these two matte reds, even though they do look different, they pull the same on the eyes. And this one here always gets hard pan. I've done the tape, I've tried, scraping off the top layer. Every time I use it, it gets hard pan, and I hate that. I wish that there was maybe, I do love this orange, and I love this shimmer, but maybe instead of this red, I wish there was one more shimmer. And, I just have to rate this number 9 out of all my palettes because the quality is my least favorite just because, this is a couple years old, and so, the quality in this palette has gone down. But, yeah, so that one's ranking number 9. In spot number 8, we have my most recent Profusion palette, and this is Moonstone. This is what she looks like. I love these giant palettes. For me, this one's ranking so low just because it's a neutral palette, and I am not hugely into neutrals, but if you love neutrals, the formula on these are fantastic. These glitters, I love Profusion glitters. These are supposed to be cheek shades. Obviously, you can still use them on the eyes as well. Their shimmers are fantastic. I love the formula of this, but just color story-wise, it just ranks lower because I'm just not going to pull for this as much as I pull for my other Profusion palettes. But, from here on out, I love all of my Profusion palettes. It's my favorite drugstore brand, and I do love this palette, but just color story-wise, not my favorite. In spot number 7, we have the Neons, which looks like this. And for me, this one shimmer here, as pretty as it is, it's just not impactful. When I did a look, I used these 3 shades, and I ended up having to pull a single shadow in because this just wasn't doing it for me. These colors are all very similar. These pinks are very similar. The blues are very similar. These reds are very similar to what's in these reds, to what's similar in my palette that I have coming up. I wish Profusion would do other shades of red because I like their reds, but they only have one red shade, and that's the red that they put in everything, and that upsets me. I just wish there was a little more variety to this neon palette, and I wish, if you were going to put in only one shimmer in a palette, it needs to be impactful, and this just isn't. But overall, it's a nice palette. Spot number 6, we have the Matcha Milk Tea, which looks like this. For me, there isn't enough green. Why do we have this shade here, and why is, I like that there's a champagne, and it's kind of got a greeny shift to it, but I just wish that this one, because you'll see if you look at the other color stories of these, they're monochromatic, and this one just isn't, and that upsets me. Because, the formula on this is great. This duochrome is, absolutely gorgeous and makes the entire palette, which is why it's higher than some of the other ones. But I just wish that there was more green mattes in here. We did not need this cream shade. It should have been a green. And that upsets me. In spot number 5, we have the Meadow palette, which I love this, and if you want a grungy fall color story, this is it. we have 2 actual shimmers, and they're beautiful, and then we have 2 mattes with glitter in them, and they're so stunning on the eyes. I think the blue row like miles outperforms the cranberry row, but the cranberry row is still super pretty on the eyes. But this shimmer, I would buy this whole palette just for this shimmer. It is so beautiful. The shade Roots, it's a duochrome. If I start swatching, I'm just going to be swatching everything, so we're not doing that. But I love the color story of this. I love the shimmers. And like normally I complain because there's not enough shimmers in a palette, but this is such a concise and thought out color story that I love it. In spot number 4, we have the Taro Milk Tea. And like, see, this is a thought out monochromatic color story, and I love it. But for me, these 2 shimmers look very similar on the eyes, and these 2 mattes pull very similar on the eyes. I wish there was slightly more depth in this purple, and I wish we went a little bit lighter or maybe more mid-toned with the shimmer. This duochrome is absolutely stunning, and this light matte with glitter is absolutely stunning. And I prefer the formula of this one over the green one, which is why it's ranked higher, but still wish these could have been thought out just a teensy bit better. A teeny bit. Spot number 3, we have my Kaleidoscope palette, which I have used almost every single matte shade in this palette. But again, the red in here, Heat Wave, is the exact same red that is in the Neon palette and the exact same red that is in my little Ruby quad, and that makes me angry. But I love the cheek shades, I love the glitters, I love the assortment. The only shade in here that's a dud for me is this green shade Firm. It just like doesn't really blend. But literally every other shade in this palette is absolutely gorgeous on the eyes. And like I said, I have literally used almost every single eyeshadow shade because I did a whole week's worth of use with this palette. And I just love it. Like, if you want a rainbow palette to have just, like, to be able to pull from, I highly recommend this one. It's beautiful. And my top 2 are from the same collection. My number 2 palette is the Ethereal palette, which looks like this. This has fantastic quality and color story. I don't have the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde, but I have heard that this is absolutely a color story dupe for it, and as I've looked online, it very much looks like that. The shimmers in this and the next palette are they're thin, but they almost have like that Super Shock formula. They're so glitzy on the eyes. I love the blues and purples, like, they got the Ethereal name really right in here for me. So this is number 2. And in spot number 1 is the Harvest palette, because this is just my color story. I love it so much. This Equinox shade is just beautiful. The mustardy oranges to the grassy greens. This is beautiful. I highly recommend. I don't love the packaging. Like, I wish it was in more of like these packaging, but I love these palettes and they are absolute staples and I highly recommend them. But let me know, what are your favorite Profusion palettes? Have you tried anything? What do you recommend? And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.